Good morning, Bishop Wisecarver Corporation. My name is Paul, and I am a graduate engineering student looking to apply to this very, very interesting associate product manager position. Interesting for quite a few reasons. I'm going to touch on that and a little bit more in this video, which is kind of a portmanteau. Going to be a little bit of a cover letter, a little bit of a resume, a little bit of an introduction, and a little bit of a mini interview. Because I want to save you a little bit of time. I want to differentiate myself a little bit. I want to go into a little bit of detail into some of the stuff that I've been working on. Go ahead and plug in my phone here and give my battery a little bit of a break. So you're looking for an associate product manager, and I took a look at the company and some of the stuff that you make, and I think linear actuators are kind of cool. I can imagine and see their use in just so many interesting applications, especially in regards to automation and manufacturing. And I think that it goes without being said that in recent years, and especially looking towards the future, with technology becoming more prevalent, with the average skill set of the international worker rising, with the costs of technology coming down, profit being an ever important factor in capitalism, we're going to see a lot more automation. We're going to see a lot more mechanization of the world, just in general, everything from automated doors to furniture that transforms to factory equipment. Anything that you think of that you can automate or mechanize or make smart, connect to the cloud. That's the big thing these days, right? Everything needs to be connected to the cloud. Even if it's just opening your doggy door, right? Kind of a silly project, but you never know. Somebody might want to buy one of these actuators and make their own DIY doggy door opener. That's all right. So the first thing that you're looking for in the ad, and I'm going to go through it. I'm going to try to go quick. Forgive me if I'm speaking a little bit fast, but I don't want to make this video too long, and I do want to try to cover a lot of stuff. So education-wise, looking for a Bachelor of Science. Now, truth be told, I have a Bachelor of Science in Business as my bachelor's. I'm a graduate student in mechanical engineering at Cal State LA. Got my bachelor's at Cal State East Bay, formerly known as Cal State Hayward. I have the unique privilege of being one of the few Cal State students to have gone to a college that changed its name to an even more obscure name, but that's okay. If you're wondering why I went from business to engineering, I'll tell you a secret. I actually, in a galaxy of long time ago, I had dreams and visions of becoming an engineering student, and they didn't materialize initially, but I did end up pursuing education and business. And after a few years of making money and pushing paper and selling stuff and helping clients and enjoying what I did, but not feeling deeply fulfilled by what I was doing, I realized, I think I really need to go back to following my dreams. So I am pursuing a master's degree in mechanical engineering. Loving almost every minute of it. It's an amazing, challenging experience, very fascinating experience. Learning about so many just really, really interesting concepts in engineering. As far as professional career experience, I'm coming in as a rookie, as a brand new engineering worker. At the same time, a lot of the skills that engineers have, breaking a problem into different steps, trying to look at it from a logical point of view based in science. I like to think I've been sort of living the life of an uneducated engineer for quite a while. I've always been into building things and tinkering and designing things and making very crude drawings of things. CAD software was a blessing to me because some of my hand drawings are not quite what I would like them to be as far as artistic quality. But so career-wise, professional experience in the engineering world, I'm limited. I'm lacking in that, but thinking about life from an engineering perspective. I think I've got a lot of that from my father being a civil engineer. So I would like to give myself as many brownie points as I can for that, for what it's worth. Moving on to the marketing experience. I did work for real estate for several years, about 3 years for some residential small businesses and about 1 year for a couple different investors. And when you're doing real estate, your company is your brand. So had a few different brands that we were pushing. Had a boss slash partner that I worked for that did sign language. So we pushed the brand of being a sign language real estate agent. Had another company that I worked with more on the investment side, Summit Asset Groups. They did bulk REOs. So our whole keyword tag thing, our existence was bulk REOs and training. And that was international, intercontinental. That was national product. That was product all across the country, sold a la carte or in tapes, to use a word that's not so favored in the community, or lists of homes, right? So different experiences in that, working with different types of clients, putting together marketing material, whether it's online, doing YouTube things, trying to be creative. In one case, we sort of created the city as a brand. So we sold a home in Fremont, and I had the idea to make a video of the home. Not that original of idea. People have made video tours of homes. I just happened to have a neighbor who did a little videography and a little editing, and I thought, hey, give my neighbor some work, we'll get a video, sell the house, bing, bang, boom. My boss had the even greater idea to do a video of the community, because we had a feeling that maybe some people would be coming from out of the area. Maybe they have family, extended family, the area we were selling homes in. One real key thing in marketing, know your audience. So our audience typically had a high potential of having different generations of families staying in the home. And sometimes the family may be coming from out of the area if this is the first house that one member of the family is buying in that area, right? So my boss had the fantastic idea that I supported, because it was a great idea to do a video of the area. So we did a video of the neighborhood, and it was one of the favorite videos I've ever kind of been, remotely connected to putting together, at least from kind of the production side of like, hey, let's get this going. And they took video. The videographer took video of the park and birds and people playing and the neighborhood, and I think it just really gave a great feel for what we were trying to create in the brand of this good community, right? So I'd love to talk more about my marketing experience in an interview, but I'm going to move on to the few other topics here, because I respect your time. I don't want to spend 30 minutes talking about this. Although certainly, during the interview, wouldn't mind going into further detail. Read, understand, generate technical engineering drawings with geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. Don't have as much experience on the tolerancing. I do have a little more experience on the dimensioning. Don't have a lot of examples, if any, on the website right now. Forgive me for that. I need to put some examples up there. But and I'll talk a little bit more about my CAD stuff after this next topic. But I am comfortable reading technical drawings. Definitely have a lot to learn. I rate my skill level at beginner for that skill set, but definitely looking forward to gaining some more experience in that area. Working knowledge or desire to self-learn. Huge desire to learn. My entire life, been blessed. Had good positive influence from family and friends as well. Most of my friends went on to get masters or MBAs or PhDs, or in some way, continue to push themselves. My family similarly. So I've been fortunate to have many good role models in my life as far as that, and talk to a lot of people that have given me insight into the value of pursuing higher education and just pursuing learning in general, not just official education, but self-learning. Learning how to 3D print better, learning how to be a better videographer, learning how to do SEO better, to market better, etc., etc. CAD software. So I've been using the CAD stuff for a few years. Really, really cool. Started with PTC Creo. In fact, the 3 softwares that you mentioned are 3 that I've worked with PTC Creo the most, SolidWorks coming in second, although my SolidWorks skills increasing because I'm focusing a lot more on that recently, especially because our school has SolidWorks license. I don't have license for SolidWorks or PTC right now. I think my student ran out on the PTC Creo, and the SolidWorks is only good for 90 days. And I tried to do a SolidWorks online student application. You probably don't care that much about that, but I have put an effort to get student licenses in both those softwares, and currently I don't have a license in either. I do have a free version of Fusion 360 that I'm kind of upping my experience on right now, and seeing that companies like yours are looking for people with experience in that software. I'm looking to, and I don't think I have the full version. I think, at least I don't think so. Maybe the free version is a downgraded version, but at any rate, I have the free software of Autodesk Fusion 360. Have not used Inventor yet, but I'm somewhat computer proficient, and I say somewhat only because there's so many different types of software and so many different ways to be computer proficient. I'm pretty modest about that. I don't consider myself a computer expert, but I've used a computer since before computers, since Ataris. I've used computers since keyboard, Ataris had keyboards, so for quite a while. At any rate, moving on, business software, very familiar with Microsoft Office, used, Word, Excel, Access, PowerPoint, Project, probably a couple other ones I can't think of right now. Of course, Paint, things like that. Adobe Photoshop, oh, I love Photoshop. Layers are beautiful. Layers are the coolest thing in the world. And Adobe's really simple. I just like all their tools. They have really simple keywords. You just go around, do stuff. So I'm not a graphic designer. I have a creative streak, but making beautiful graphically designed things is probably not my strength. I can tell you what graphic design looks more visually appealing. I could give people with a little more creativity. I could, if you need me to be a little more of a graphic designer, I could up my game, but I definitely have not been doing an enormous amount of graphic design work as of late. Illustrator, similar to Photoshop. InDesign, that's the website one, I believe. I think I've touched it a couple times, have not done a ton of it. Premiere, the video editing stuff, I have a modest level of video editing experience. My laptop's a dinosaur, it's 10 years old, so I don't do a ton. I use Corel Pro right now just because it's kind of an inexpensive software. I understand basic video editing concepts. Excuse me. Have done a little video editing, but not a ton. ERP systems, not an enormous amount of that. A little bit of the CRM stuff. In a few of the law firms that I worked with, we tracked all our clients, so we were used to documenting files and keeping very detailed notes and tracking and so I do have some experience with electronic client management systems. Excellent written and verbal communication skills and superior organization skills. My verbal communication skills I would rate as the highest. I'm still working on being a better speaker, speaking more professionally. It's a lifelong skill. I'm very comfortable speaking in front of a group, speaking to all manner of people from all backgrounds and all types. Written communication wise, I'm definitely always improving. I would rate myself, I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate my writing somewhere around a 7 or an 8. Definitely looking to get stronger. I think I'm a good proficient writer. I think I can write at a technical level, but also in a way that people can understand. Writing is really about your audience. Writing something for the layperson versus for a professor who has a PhD versus for your coworker versus for the boss versus for the it really depends on who you're writing to. So, but I take a look at my writing samples. It's a little silly for me to say I'm a good writer, but always improving. I think I have some good writing skills, but I'm always trying to improve. Organization skills, I'd rank them fairly high. I'm I'm a fan of organization. I try not to get too crazy about it, but trying to just sensible organization, a few folders, a few spreadsheets. Trying to have enough hierarchy that you don't, so that you have sensible folders, but you're not clicking through level 1, level 2, down to level 10 before you get to what you're looking for. Maybe level 1, level 2, level 3. Try to find what you're looking for without, so that it's sensible. Because it's not just for you. A lot of times, organization, especially at work, it's going to be things that other people are looking at. So if you're saving things on the cloud, if you're making a spreadsheet with a bunch of worksheets in it, it needs to be sensible and easy to access information for whoever's going to look at it. Not everyone. You want to have a nice organization level that's other people friendly. Outgoing and friendly personality. I think so. I'm a mostly extroverted person. Sometimes I feel a little more introverted in my, as I get older, but I'm a fan of talking with people, sometimes more than they are talking with me, only because, I don't know, I feel like the world is getting a little more inward as it develops. I don't know if that's the digital thing. I don't really know. But I'm definitely outgoing and friendly. I had really great relationships with all the people at places that I've worked. I have great relationships with all my clients right now. I love my clients. My handyman clients right now are the best. And if I could get 40, 50 hours of handyman work a week, I'd still want to be an engineer. Able to work effectively in close collaboration with a multifunctional team environment. Yeah, I've been doing team stuff for a long time. Construction's in a team, real estate's in a team, the legal stuff's in a team. A lot of the school stuff has been in a team. Volunteering that I do is in a team. I'm not a stranger to it. I love it. The only thing that is a little challenging sometimes is if you don't have really motivated team players. That's the only thing and if you're not necessarily in a position to kind of strongly influence the motivation level. Sometimes you can, usually you can. I always try to, even if it's, pushing a stone up a steep hill, right? But teamwork can be a challenge. It can also be really enjoyable. Through most of my educational career, I was the self-volunteered team leader, facilitator, and it kind of, after a while, I got to the point where I let other people do it because I sort of had so much experience that I thought, I don't know what I'm gaining from being the team leader in this little school project. So let's see who else wants to take the team lead, and I'll just focus on being a really good team member, and we'll see how things go. And by and large, it worked okay. Of course, at work, your leadership level is usually dictated by an outward, description of your duties. But I have absolutely been doing lots and lots of teamwork for many, many, many years. And that's why I want to work for a company. It's just more efficient as a team. You get a little bit of economies of scale. Comfortable with public speaking and presenting to engineering teams, customers, sales teams, members. Absolutely. I don't know what the largest group I ever spoke in front of. Probably not that large. Maybe about 30 people or something. But as I'm, sitting here failing Toastmasters saying, shame on me. Haven't been to a Toastmasters meeting recently. Maybe I need to go a little more frequently. But I am absolutely speaking in front of a crowd. I enjoy it a lot. I don't read from my notes. I try not to do awful fiddly things with my hands like I'm doing right now. Presenting to engineering teams, yeah, I'm sure that would be very challenging. Engineers can ask some technical, difficult questions. You have to be prepared. You have to know what you're talking about. Customers, I love customers. I love customers. Customers are the best because they always tell you what's on their mind. They're never shy. They always tell you, I'm upset about this. This isn't right. This thing broke. Why didn't this work? They get right to the point, and I really respect that. And sometimes I've been fortunate at work, and I've had a really good, just like an amazing phone call. Something went really right, and some of my coworkers will just look at me like, "Where do you come up with this? Like, where do you get off just having such a smooth, good conversation?" And it doesn't happen all the time or every day, but every once in a while, I just have the most perfect conversation with a customer, and everything just goes so perfect. And I like to think it's because my overarching mantra is so far as communication, life, dealing with other human beings, is really to be genuine and empathetic, to really care about what's going on with them, whether it's, something really small, like, oh, the pilot light in our unit went out, or something really major, like uh, there's a sewer lateral inspection that came back and it's $50,000 that it's going to cost the buyer if they buy this house to deal with this issue. Or if the owner of $1 million property comes home and realizes that instead of the realtor doing the open house, their young assistant was doing the open house, their young unlicensed and limited experience assistant was doing an open house, and the assistant can tell that the owner is not terribly pleased with this. That was a challenging conversation. And there really wasn't anything I could do. The owner was very polite. It was clear to me through just intuition and body language that they were a little bit surprised that Sally, nothing against her. She was trying to maximize her ability to hold the open house. And I think she was right. I think an open house with me is better than no open house at all. I don't know if she was doing another open house or she was busy or whatever, but sometimes you have to have challenging conversations with clients. Or the time when I had a customer for an investment company we're working with get a little bit nervous about, are we a legitimate company? Am I going to get messed on this deal? And it was a modest purchase, but even though it was, under several $1,000s, I treated that buyer the same as if they were buying $1 million property. And, if we've had clients with $1 million properties, clients with $1 million lawsuits, or dealing with clients who send us tens of millions of dollars of files. Been in conversations, conference calls regarding very, very large clients. So, a lot of experience dealing with customers. I enjoy every minute of it. Sales team members, well, I've had sales experience, so I would feel very comfortable. And I understand a little bit about sales. Let me do a quick chime check here. Forgive me, make sure our video is still rolling, 22 minutes. So I'm not going to say my philosophy. The philosophy I've gained as a result of experience of working with other professional salespeople and reading up on sales and classic sales strategy. I have a very, very basic fundamental understanding of sales, and that is that you want to, understand the audience, you want to qualify your buyers, you want to demonstrate value, and then work towards, finding the solution, closing the deal. And if you don't do things appropriately in that order, you're not going to have a good deal. If you don't understand the audience, if you don't understand what the needs and if you don't understand everything about who your buyer is, it's not going to be as easy for you to sell them a product. If you don't understand your product, if you can't demonstrate every single thing about that product. I remember I sold cars for about a month. I'm a little ashamed that I didn't stay there longer, but the problem was I wasn't able to go to school or do anything because they wanted me there 5 and 6 days a week, alternating 9 to 9. So it was basically sell cars the rest of your life or quit. But I remember during part of our training, they showed us this little hook under the engine compartment, and the hook was there so that when the car gets in a front collision and the hood bends, the hood goes into the hook and it doesn't go into the front windshield. Now I think this was a feature that a lot of cars had, but for whatever reason they were teaching us to specifically point this out as an example of safety feature of the vehicle. And it's a little bit silly in the sense that I think a lot of vehicles had that feature, but it was still nonetheless a very simple and important lesson in how important it is to demonstrate value, no matter what you're demonstrating value of. For example, I was looking on the website, and what are some of the things I'm seeing here about the slick stick linear actuator? It's compact, it's low power, no contact sensors, fine-tune your stroke length, prevent end-of-travel crashes. Yeah, end-of-travel crashes are definitely bad. So things like the non-contact sensors. To demonstrate the value of that, you really need to do a little bit more than just, for example, let's say the salesperson asks me, oh, so I saw that you have non-contact sensors in the slick stick linear actuator. how can I demonstrate the value of that to a client? And I suppose I would tell the salesperson that they need to talk about how, even though contact actuators are relatively robust, it's still a part that has mechanical fatigue and wear, and even if the chance of it breaking is, 1 out of 1,000 or 1 out of 10,000, or if it's going to last for 100,000 cycles, the point is, on the 100,001st cycle, if it breaks, if this is a really integral part of your system, if it's part of a manufacturing line, and you have to shut down the whole line to deal with this one thing that broke because of this $3 part, that's why you want to know a non-contact sensor, because it gives you just that little bit more reliability in your entire system. And it may not be that big of a deal in and of itself if it's a cheap part or if it takes a day to ship, but that downtime, depending on what you're producing, typically any amount of downtime, even if it's an hour, can be tens of thousands of dollars, if not more. In fact, I was recently speaking with a coworker of mine, and he was talking about how some of the companies now that do manufacturing, of course a lot of them do this just-in-time manufacturing, and not only that, they sort of do it's not just, so if you're a company putting together a widget, and your widget has 3 parts, part A, B, and C, and they need to be assembled by 3 different companies and then sent to you and you put them together. Not only are you getting parts A, B, and C at the last minute, but the companies making parts A, B, and C are making them at the last minute. They don't necessarily have a supply of parts all built up, because companies making parts A, B, and C, they don't want to be stocking all these parts either. So potentially, if you have an issue because of the contact sensor, as unlikely as it is, you have a problem with making part A. Part A was supposed to be made, let's say 24 hours before it was shipped somewhere to be put together this component. Maybe the component's sent off somewhere else. So by having a 1 or 2 hour delay, having the line go down, having your just-in-time manufacturing being messed up, it's kind of an extreme example, but you really want the highest reliability when you're doing high-end just-in-time stuff, or when you're doing expensive parts, or you're doing very, very critical parts, aerospace, defense, medical stuff. There's a lot of reasons that a part could be highly, highly critical. So in speaking with sales professionals, you need to be able to translate things like, an optional position encoder or an advanced controller, and say, well, how does an advanced controller help someone work with this product, and get into maybe a little bit of control theory, see if the salesperson has any experience with control theory, and maybe tell the salesperson a couple features about it. You don't have to teach them, how to use MATLAB and, tune a linear quadratic regulator or set the PID settings, but you can give them just a little bit more information, because the more educated your salesperson is, the more they can demonstrate the value of the product, the more they understand the product, the better they can understand the audience and how the capabilities of the product meet the needs of the buyer. You're going to have a lot better time, if not selling the product, ensuring that the product is the right fit for the client, because selling the wrong product to the client can be potentially more damaging than selling them the right product. It can be more damaging than the benefit, compared to the benefit of selling them the right product. You sell them the wrong product, you might lose them forever. You never know. You sell them the wrong product and they have issues with it, they might not have the patience to deal with you the second time around. They might try to go to their other favorite linear actuator company. Hopefully not, but worst case scenario. Okay, there's a lot of other, actually we're getting near the end here, which is good because the video is getting way too long. Desire to travel for trade shows, seminars, customer visits under 10% of the time. Yeah, no problem. Not afraid of flying. I love flying. I'm a kid. I look out the window almost the whole flight. Can't resist. In fact, I noticed some things on my recent flight. I noticed that the thrust reverse cowl, one of the fairings above the thrust reverse cowl is missing a few screws. I told the check-in lady at Southwest about that. And also interesting, the thrust reversed cowl itself, there's kind of a fiberglass ridge on it, and it's experiencing a little bit of wear as a result of its use, which is kind of interesting. And last but not least, on the last flight I was on, I heard a little bit of a shudder on the plane. And I told one of the flight crew about it, and I said, before takeoff, and I think both the engines were spun up, there was this kind of shudder, like, I was like, did you feel that? And he's like, wow, that was, yeah, I think I turned on the air, and sometimes it just kind of does that. I was like, oh, okay, just want to let you know. Because I haven't flown a ton, but I've flown enough to know the kind of the bumps and the groans and the shudders. And if the flaps, the flaps are kind of like a, and the gear, you're not going to have the gear going up or down when you're on the ground, right? So considering that the engines were spun up and the flaps were moved, I was like, what on earth is this weird sound? Anyways, yeah, flying's fun. Flying is super, super fun. So I know this has been a very long video, and forgive me if it seems a little bit casual. I'm definitely not casual about how passionate I am, about thinking about this new career. And, linear actuators, it's kind of something that it's part of manufacturing, but you don't necessarily think like, oh, I gotta find a company that's like making linear actuators, because there's so many different types of engineering that it can be kind of challenging to kind of just say, let me just look up 10 companies that do this or 10 companies that do that. But at any rate, I'm really glad that I found your job on Indeed. I have a lot of material on my website. I mentioned it. I'll put a link in the video. I have a YouTube page, which of course you're watching the video on. Take a look at the different YouTube videos that I've made. Doing some stuff in Atoms, doing a little bit of stuff in MATLAB. Excuse me. Have an Imgur account. Have some of the same pictures that are going to be on the Imgur are going to be on the website. I still haven't fully kind of vetted to figure out how I'm going to go there, but there's a lot of material. You could probably spend several hours pouring through everything that I've put out there, and I certainly don't expect anyone to, but part of the reason that I'm doing it is because of my limited experience, because I really want to show people that I'm so much more than just the degree. The degree is just kind of sitting in class and doing the homework and learning the concepts and the materials, but to be an engineer, it's a lot bigger, right? You have to have a little bit of common sense, a little bit of street smarts, a little bit of real life experience, a little bit of hand skills, a little bit of technical experience on the theory side and the practice side, software experience, business experience, being able to deal with different members of the team, whether it's salespeople, technical people, operations, management, investors, clients. It's interesting how many hats engineers have to wear sometime, but I've worn a few hats in my career. I've enjoyed it. The only thing I regret about wearing different hats is that I fear sometimes that people are going to look at me and say, I don't trust you to wear my hat. You've worn too many other hats, and you just seem like a guy who wants to wear a bunch of different hats forever. Okay. To take that hat analogy to the extreme, and that's not true. That's not true at all. I'm not looking to get back into law. I might flip homes a little bit in the future, but that's kind of a personal thing, not really having to do with my professional career. And the construction stuff, I'm not planning on becoming a contractor tomorrow or really any time in the near future. Maybe I'll fix the sink at my house, but that's probably going to be the most of it. So engineering is the main hat that I'm looking to wear, or hard hat in the case of an engineer on site, right? So it's going to be an engineer, it's going to be a designer, it's going to be someone working with CAD, working with manufacturing, working with technology, working with other engineering professionals, communicating with all different types of people as it relates to engineering, and just loving every minute of it. Loving mostly every minute of it. Sometimes it can be challenging, or so I hear. You talk to engineers and man, they're always complaining about work. Oh, people want me to do this and I'm busy, stressed out, and all these different projects and all this different red tape and bureaucracy, but I'm excited for it. I am. Maybe I'll be smiling less after a year or 5 years of being an engineer, but I don't think so. I think I will probably confound people for my entire career for how much I enjoy going to work. They will look at me and say, this guy is freaking crazy. He loves being an engineer more than anything in the world. And it's true. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have a lot of awesome applicants for the position. Take care. Bye-bye.